So today's topic is about rapid rehousing, which, Tao just said the answer to homelessness, right, is housing, housing, housing. But what does that actually mean when we say that? What does it mean to provide individuals and families with housing? And it's quite complicated, but today I'll try and just kind of like boil it down and help us get right to the kind of heart of what rapid rehousing is. Housing in general, when we're talking about individuals who are exiting homelessness, is about supportive housing. And people are assessed and fall into roughly two categories. There's permanent supportive housing, and then there's rapid rehousing. And there's a little bit of gray in between there and other different kinds of models, but the two big ones are permanent supportive, which we call PSH, and rapid rehousing, RRH, rapid. And so they're intended, for two different types of people with two different needs. And the model and the intervention of the housing itself actually looks different. So in a permanent supportive housing model, it's for individuals who've experienced chronic homelessness. There's lots of definition and detail that goes into like what that means to be chronically homeless. But the gist of it is that it's people that have been out on the streets for really long periods of time, extended for a year or more of nonstop homelessness on the street, or just frequent episodes in and out and in and out for a long time. In addition to that, they have to have a chronic disabling condition, something that's permanent and long-standing. And that could be a physical disability, it could be a mental health disability, it could be a substance use disability. Most of the time, it's a combination of them. And the two things together kind of suggest to us that the type of support that that person's going to need is going to be long-term, ongoing, and continuous, hence the name permanent supportive housing. So it's kind of a stool with three legs. That's how I always talk about it. We provide that person with a place to live, like a physical housing location. There's a subsidy that helps them pay for that housing. Right. And then there's wraparound services, there's case management, and that's what Search does. We provide that case management piece in PSH. So Search has about 700 units of case management that we provide to permanent supportive housing across the community. So what is Rapid? It's pretty much for anyone who doesn't fit that bucket of PSH, right? Rapid is for everyone else. And so it's a shorter term subsidy. It could be anywhere between 3 months and 2 years is usually how a rapid project works. And it's more focused on that financial temporary support, but it's very similar to PSH in that it's about providing case management support and wraparound services to people who are exiting homelessness. But again, it's about that finite time. And so in our community, we use a coordinated access waitlist. We ask anybody who's experiencing homelessness to come in and we assess them for housing. So at first, we're just deciding which of those two buckets do they fit in, which of those two buckets do they qualify for. And then from there, we prioritize them, right? Who's the most vulnerable goes to the top of the list. And so based on those two things, we get our rollout of who's in PSH, who's in Rapid, and where do they fall and how do they get referred to us. And so on like Search has, like I said, both PSH and Rapid. The projects operate a little bit differently, but the intention really is that Rapid is intended, it's exactly in the name. It's a rapid rehousing of the individual. We try and get them out of shelter, transitional, or street living and into housing very quickly. And it's also, attempting for a rapid resolution. It's time limited, it's finite. And we're trying to help them really regain whatever independence or income is needed so that when that period comes to an end, that they can maintain that housing beyond. So there's a lot of focus usually on income, and that could be through earned employment, or it could be income through Social Security. It's also about accessing benefits and things that help a person, with their independence. The ability to afford their food, their resources, their insurance, all those different things. It's not trying to get people to a level of independence that we might think of, where there's zero reliance on the system or supports, but it really is just about how they can maintain that housing beyond us. And so Rapid, is is also really a beautiful thing because it's really cost effective when compared with other projects or with other types of housing intervention. So permanent supportive housing is still a really good solution when compared to having people in and out of shelter and on the street for a long period of time. Because of the duration of permanent supportive housing, you really want to reserve it for people that need that long-term support. On Rapid, you might invest as a community a couple $1,000s, right, in people's rent and the case management supports. But because it's short term, it's, helping them get to a permanent destination, a permanent solution, not, keeping them in shelters or in transitional housing for long term. So Rapid's really thought of as being really, really cost effective for the community and for the nation. And so rapid rehousing projects, they look very different. We'll talk a little bit more about like the detail of how they're working at Search. But essentially, that's kind of the gist of it, right? It's about the financial resource and incentive and the case management services to help somebody in a short amount of time. And so it's really important because, like I said, there's the PSH and the Rapid components, and Rapid is the solution for most people. Most people do not fit in that chronic definition and don't go to permanent supportive housing. So when you look out and you see people on the street and you're wondering what's happening there, why people aren't moving into housing, a lot of times it's because people don't necessarily qualify for the type of housing that's available. And in our community, there's a very large need for people for people who need rapid rehousing services. And for a long time, we didn't have a lot of funds and resources in our community to provide Rapid. It's been around for a long time, and there's been lots of projects, but the need is so much greater than what we've had. And so there's a really beautiful opportunity right now that is happening with the COVID funds that are coming in, what we're calling the CHIP funds, right? And CHIP funds are inducing a lot of money into our community to help us address homelessness. And so one of the things when we designed out what we would be doing with that CHIP money is we knew that this could be the opportunity for our community to really invest in the rapid rehousing services that we need. So that's where Search is involved in CHIP and COVID. And so from here, I'm going to kind of turn it over to Jessica Preheim, who's with the coalition, and she'll tell us a little bit more about what CHIP is and how it's working. Okay.